With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your noggin as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the tables, especially those special Slim Jim sponsored tables, and get put through an experience unlike any other. Brought to you, of course, by Animal We Studios. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. We had a SmackDown tonight, a 3-hour show. Not gonna lie, wasn't too bad. The hours kind of blew by, at least for me, a little bit, and I enjoyed most of what we had tonight, mainly the King of the Ring stuff, some of the stuff involving John Cena as well, and the mid-card stuff. We'll talk about that when we get to it, but of course, as always, welcome to our returning guest and chatters in the chat. Hopefully you guys are having a good Friday. It's the weekend. No wrestling, or at least big events besides like Triple Mania this weekend. So if you're watching that, if you're able to, great, awesome. Hopefully you have a good time with that, but nothing in the big realms of WWE or AEW and all that. If you are new here, of course, as always, welcome to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. I, of course, am your world champion Watkins, your reigning, defending, undisputed champion of the world. And of course, I'm never alone in this endeavor as I try to guide us through these wrestling events. For you see, I have a lovely gentleman right here with me. Unfortunately, Legend D Vash is not joining us. He is still feeling a bit under the weather. I think The Rock kind of worked him a little too much this week, so he's getting some well-deserved rest. But of course, we've got the genius of the mat himself. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I will say that I did think this SmackDown was pretty good when it came to certain things within the show itself. And yeah, I definitely felt like I could talk a little bit more about the show when it comes to certain things outside of like the past couple SmackDowns you've been getting that kind of felt like a little lackluster, and there was only so much that we could really talk about. I mean, obviously, when it comes to the big stuff, there's always room to talk about it, but I feel like based on what transpired here tonight when it came to multiple things spread across the show, it definitely has me intrigued to see like what happens next.
Oh, same here. And especially with like some news that we got earlier today, a certain debut that happened before SmackDown happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about tonight. So as always, people, grab yourself a lovely hearty beverage, whether it's something of the water H2O nature, some juice maybe, like, grab yourself a Capri Sun, maybe even a Yoo-Hoo, because Yoo-Hoos are pretty good right now. I know it's late and all that, but hey, treat yourself every so often. So we're going to start the night with just our WWE title picture, because yeah, King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring is happening right now, but we actually had John Cena on the show tonight. Almost kind of a rare appearance for him to be on 2 shows in 1 week. At least recently he's been on 2 shows each week and all that. So that's great. We've been getting more John Cena, just running those dates down and all that. So he's here, and this is a tale of like 2 segments here. So at first he comes out, he actually starts our night off, and he starts kind of running down his own Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, and he basically just says it's himself. He puts himself up there 4 times in a row. And if you've ever been in the online sphere when it comes to professional wrestling or any fandom at all, they have their own things like a Mount Rushmore, your big 3, what have you. So again, John just puts himself at the tippity top because, hey, he's the GOAT. And he keeps saying that, he keeps hammering that into us. And he's just trying to say that he's basically the Aizen in WWE by saying that he's been playing people and like putting pieces together ever since he announced his retirement tour almost a year ago, or roughly a year ago. And he keeps running down people like Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, like all these people that he's somewhat interacted with, even like mentioning the Elimination Chamber and the Royal Rumble, like saying how everything's been laid to his plans, how he's been playing everybody, he knows how people act, how they're going to react in certain ways. And again, he's trying to be an Aizen, where it's just like, are you? Was this all part of Keikaku, or is that what they're telling us here? I don't think so, buddy. But whatever. Just keep spouting your stuff and all that. Cool, neat, awesome. But Math just says no one is worthy to basically take the title off of him, except for one. And outcomes are shonen protagonist of Cody Rhodes. He's the variable who made John Cena count the lights up in the air on Saturday night during Money in the Bank. But he's not alone. No, Randy Orton comes out because he wants John Cena. He's not going to stop at anything, even go through Cody Rhodes to get at John Cena yet again. But it doesn't stop there, because LA Knight comes down, calls him a bald little bitch, and is just ready to just lay the smack diggity down on these main eventers, because it's his time now, not your time, John. It's done. You're over it. It's done with. So Cena leaves, gets attacked by R-Truth, and that's basically the end of this segment. So I'm gonna stop there. I want to focus on this segment really quick. Now, I know this kind of leads into the first match, but I want to at least focus here really quick, because these are three main players for John Cena's title. Now, I say that, and some people might be like, oh, well, LA Knight doesn't really fit into all this, but nah, that's where you're wrong. Nah, as he would say, because this is a good spot for LA Knight to be in the mix with these three guys, to remind not only them, but the audience that, hey, he is on their level. And of course, the stare down with Randy and Cody, I mean, if that's not the finals of the King of the Ring, I mean, it could be something else from what we heard earlier today, but yeah, see, this is why I love tournaments so much, because there's all these individual stories with everybody that just intertwine so well. And like, we've been craving the whole Randy versus Cody thing. And if that's our final for King of the Ring, oh, give it to me, because that can just lead to bigger things down the road, depending on who wins, Cody and all that. But go ahead, lay it on me. What do you think of this opening segment? John's words, Cody's, Randy's, even LA Knight's words. Go ahead, lay it on me. I got to turn on my fan, so let me know. How'd you feel about everything?
I honestly think this is probably the best John Cena has looked for quite some time when it comes to promo segments, because I've been pretty vocal talking about John Cena on the channel when it comes to his approach whenever he's out there, like, addressing the crowd and everything. When he first did it, I understood what he was trying to do, because that was pretty much like the early stages of this character. But ever since then, when it became repetitive, I was just tuned out, didn't really care. And then sometimes when he came out on the microphone, it just felt like too forced. The way that he was talking, it didn't really feel organic. But I felt like tonight, the way that he was, talking to open up the show, I felt like that was something we really needed when it comes to this John Cena heel run. And I saw a lot of people even mention as well, especially with the stuff that happened with Punk, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, because it does fit our opening segment of the show that we're going to be talking about. A lot of people were even saying itself, like, this actually, like, for the first time, it actually feels like, whatever's transpiring with John Cena right now when it comes to his heel run, it actually feels important. And that just goes to show how much weight CM Punk has whenever he's just thrown into something. It just automatically changes it and just turns it into magic. And I definitely do agree with that, because it actually does feel important to me for the very first time when you got two guys that know each other so well. But I like how he came out here and just pretty much laid out the blueprint when it came to his overall, what do they call it, like his whole philosophy that he's trying to fulfill, or all the blueprints, or all the secrets, the cheat codes, the game shark, stuff like that, pretty much to get him where he's at when it comes to everything that's laid out. Pretty much saying that, he baited everyone to pretty much bring him to where he is right now. And then I liked Cody get involved here, because obviously that's unfinished business, especially what happened at Money in the Bank recently. Obviously Randy's not done because of the history with them there, so he definitely fits into that. Chelsea Green also liked our post. And
oh, good.
We also have, like, LA Knight being factored in here. And I know there's some people out there who don't really care for LA Knight, which is fine. If you feel that way towards the man, that's fine. When it comes to me and Watkins, where we happen to be really big fans of the guy, and I'm just glad to see him in this position. He doesn't have to be doing anything like super crazy, like punch Cody across the face and automatically get a match. Just him being there around these people, that's just a really big moment in itself. And just looking at where LA Knight's being positioned right now, I mean, he was sucked in the bloodline vortex for so long. Now he's being in segments with John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton, which are main eventers. And it looks like, based on how the show's being played out, he's going to be having some sort of program with Seth Rollins, potentially at Night of Champions if they have a one-on-one match, because I had a feeling, we'll talk about it in just a little bit based on what happened in that match, I had a feeling we're going to get that. But him getting involved with like Seth Rollins on a one-on-one match, that's pretty big, because that's also another big guy when it comes to all of their main eventers in the company, especially if you look at his current position right now when it comes to what's going on with him right now. Like, he's pretty much like high up there, just like, you know, Cody and Roman is when it comes to really important stories that you're focusing on. So I love seeing LA Knight here, and I just hope from like this point on, you know, moving forward, when it like comes to the stuff that revolves around CM Punk and John Cena, I'm hoping when it comes to John Cena itself, because I'm not worried about Punk, but I'm hoping when it comes to John Cena, he keeps the same approach, because it just feels more natural for him to express himself this way.
Yeah, and I like how you're putting that. John tonight probably felt the most natural than he has this whole heel run. So I really appreciated that from him tonight, and especially kind of like bouncing off not only just like Cody, but also Randy a little bit. Like, I know he didn't talk too much when they were out there, but even just his body language and mannerisms, especially when LA Knight came out, like he didn't even want to give LA Knight the time of day. That's why he just freaking left when he came out. Just like, I ain't giving this kid any time of day, even though they're like very close to age and all that, you know. But and I also like too how you're pointing out that LA Knight is in a good position right now. Like, yeah, he may not have won Money in the Bank, but to be featured in a feud with Seth Rollins right now is good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably shouldn't come out on top, unfortunately, just because Seth has this new character and this new faction and all that. And like, they're trying, the best way to kind of get Seth Rollins over as a heel is to have him go over like crowd favorites like LA Knight. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this program going into Night of Champions with him, and we'll talk about more of that when we get into the match. But yeah, when John leaves the ring and all that, he gets attacked by Ron Killings, who's continuing this onslaught of just like trying to get one over on Cena. And we see a couple times tonight
Put
where
some
like,
respect on my name.
Put some respect. The truth shall set you free. I'm driving now.
They have to do that, and they also have to do like put some respect on my name for merch. Be silly if they don't.
Oh my god, yes. Please put it like on a hat or something. Or something. I don't know. But yeah, so like we see John throughout the night. He's kind of crashing out a little bit. Like, we see him arguing with Nick Aldis. We don't hear what he says, but he's arguing with Nick Aldis in the back. And then he confronts Jimmy Uso at one point and is demanding, hey, you're buddies with R-Truth. And I like how John keeps calling him R-Truth, even though like in interviews and all that, he's trying to get himself over as Ron Killings, which, you know, is good with this new character and all that. I know I didn't get a chance to really talk much about this new character, but I'm kind of really digging it. But it's also like interesting that Killings, I'll get used to it eventually.
Yeah.
He keeps mentioning that Ron Killings is the one that's in the driver's seat now. So I don't know if they're doing like, or if they might go down the road of like a split personality kind of thing.
What I was
just like, oh,
that's what I was getting.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, you tick me off, you're getting Ron Killings, who's going to murderlize you and all that, you know. So right now he's in Ron Killings mode, ready to get after John. And John's looking for Ron Killings. And he goes back out to the ring later on. Like, this is during the third hour where people are starting being like, all right, we're a little tired. We're ready for the main event. Let's kind of get on with the show. But John comes back out, like, just makes a beeline for the ring, calls out Ron Killings. But instead of Ron Killings, we get good old CM Punk.
Yeah.
Was not expecting Punk tonight. I don't think he was even advertised for tonight.
No,
So,
it wasn't.
I see. I love surprises like that, where it's just like, yeah, this wasn't advertised, but here you go. Here's CM Punk talking to John Cena.
See, this is one of those things, like when the music hits, it matters, and you get that sort of attraction towards it. The way that they do it sometimes when they have like a run-in and stuff, it doesn't really have that same feel. So I like the unexpected approach that they take with certain things because it just feels like more organic.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, Punk even mentioned it in his promo. He's just like, once you hear that static go off, things are about to get real. And I think this is probably one of the better, or if not one of the best CM Punk segments that he's had since coming back to WWE.
Yeah.
Mainly because of how he was in it. Because I like how he kind of compares himself to Obi-Wan. And it's just like, I'm Obi-Wan and you're Darth Vader. I see that Anakin is still in there. I see that Super Cena, that John Cena, that man of the people is still in there. So I'm going to give you your chance right now. Go on, let the crowd adore you. Let them shower you with praise. But Cena, again, still in heel mode, not having any of it. He doesn't like Kentucky at all, which, I mean, besides their fried chicken, what else is good in Kentucky? Ooh, I don't know. He knocks down their basketball, their races. He just hates Kentucky. But that was his one and only shot with CM Punk, and he lays in on him. Like, it's so good. And they keep harping on this thing about like truth and all that, where like CM Punk is saying, a weak man hates the truth. He'll get mad at the truth and all that. And man, he just goes in on him about like calling himself the GOAT, putting himself on his own Mount Rushmore. I think for me, the line of the whole segment right here. I'm trying to look for it in my notes. You are the GOAT that I will spit roast and sacrifice to the god of wrestling. God, oh my god, it was such a good line delivery from him. Just from top to bottom, CM Punk just like scorched John Cena, I thought tonight. Like it was something that John needed. He needed somebody like CM Punk to bounce off of and to like kind of give him a harsh truth to be like, yeah, you think you're good, but guess what? You still couldn't beat me. You could never beat me when I was at my best. And I'm still at my best. Man, I am looking forward to Saudi. And like, there's Punk even like well, actually, no, you go ahead while I try to get my thoughts together, because like, man, I'm so blown. I loved this segment, man. It was so good.
Yeah, so one thing I do want them to address when it comes to this whole thing with Punk participating in Saudi. So you know how like the main theme when it came to this whole promo segment between Cena and Punk was the fact that they were trying to speak the truth and everything. I want John Cena to speak the truth to CM Punk when it comes to his whole journey, when he left and where he is now currently, and maybe even reference the whole Saudi thing, because they're not stupid. They see the backlash online, or basically all the stuff that people say, and they sometimes allude to it. They don't outright say it, but they sometimes allude to it. Like even like, I mean, a good example of that is like whenever Cody gets in these feuds, and they always reference AEW, but they don't bring up AEW. Like they don't just spell it out and say, oh no, you went from AEW to here, you rebuild your own company or everything. They reference it, but they don't outright say it. I want John Cena to add some realism when it comes to the whole thing with like the Saudi thing, because there was something that me and Vash spoke about on Monday when it came to their promo segment. And what we saw there with that promo segment is that Cena said the ball's in your court, buddy, if you want this match. And obviously that was referencing the whole thing that Punk said about, you know, he doesn't do Saudi shows, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. So I'm hoping, you know, John Cena adds like some sort of like, basically I just want to see John Cena, you know, try to get under his skin. So it's like, it's even, because we know it can be even. We know that Punk can piss off Cena. We know that Cena can piss off Punk when it comes to the sort of things that he can say, because they're not amateurs when it comes to promos. They're known to be probably one of the best in the business when it comes to promos alone, and somebody that can actually hang on the mic with John Cena like a CM Punk. I mean, that's a little thing I do want to see. Not saying I want that to be the center of focus, but just to add some sort of tension to the match. Like that's one of the things I want to see. If it doesn't happen, I don't care, whatever. But it would just be interesting if they decide to just touch on that, because you have the whole thing that he brought up in the promo itself, like, oh yeah, you called me a hypocrite, stuff like that. How about we explore that? Like, I want Cena to explore the whole thing with like Punk being a hypocrite, like actually going in depth, saying exactly why you came back after you trashed the company, you don't want to do this or that. Like, I just want more tension with it, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
And I think and I think after tonight, because I mean, even Punk kind of, well, I like how you said alluded to things, because like Punk kind of alluded to the whole Saudi thing, like, oh, I would follow you to hell to defeat you and get that title from you. So like he's kind of alluding to that whole aspect of like, okay, I would definitely like go to the fiery pits of the underworld to save wrestling and all that stuff. So they're already kind of alluding to that, and I do feel like, because he even said it too, he's just like, all right, well, let the disrespect begin, you know? So I think tonight was the beginning of what you're trying to, you know, what you want from it. And I'm hoping we do get that, because I agree with you. You know, I want Cena to kind of like clap back a little bit on him, be like, hey, you know what? Remember that company you were in? And I'm not going to lie, because they've done it a couple times on WWE TV.
Sami Zayn?
Want John Cena.
Sami Zayn?
Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the big one. But I think it would mean so much and just be more scathing if John Cena uttered those 3 letters of AEW. Like, for Cena to be the one to do that, you know? And because like that's the thing, because like Cena's whole thing right now is like he is the last real world champion. What was CM Punk in AEW?
The last real champion. He even added his own little signature to that belt. He had a whole match at All In with Samoa Joe.
Exactly. His last match in AEW. Technically, Punk is still the real AEW World Champion.
Remember that bag he carried around, like when he came back on that Collision? Like, he just had like a little Santa Claus bag hanging out with him.
Yeah. Now the freaking AEW title's in a briefcase that we haven't seen in months, but that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day and a whole other show. Check us out on Thursdays for that one. But man, it's just this was just really good. I really liked it. I liked it as because if
felt like a feud.
If it did. See, for the first time in almost a while, unless it's like a WrestleMania build, because like sometimes you get it every now and then with WWE, but like I've noticed lately, it's just like some feuds don't necessarily sometimes feel like it. Like sometimes you get it with like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, for example, where like it feels like a blood feud. Sometimes with like Damian Priest and Finn Balor, that felt like a blood feud and all that. But like sometimes it's just like, okay, well, we're feuding, we're rivals, blah blah blah. But like lately, WWE has been getting better at that. Like we've seen it right now with like John and Punk, Bailey and Becky. I will shout out too, especially after this past Monday with that segment. Like feuds are starting to feel a little bit more fierce now, which is good. You know, we're starting to finally like bite back at each other. Awesome, great, fan flipping tastic. And I'm glad we finally have this moment with John's heel turn and his heel run right now, because he's really needed somebody. We thought Cody would, and
Yeah.
Cody kind of did, but like Cody was still like full on. I'm 100% babyface
Yeah.
going into WrestleMania, and now that Cody's like on the chase again, maybe now he can like finally start biting back when he gets back up to Cena and all that. But
Yeah.
like right now, it's CM Punk, and they're creating magic right now. Like,
Yeah.
and I put this in a tweet too. I was engaged the whole time, and that's when a professional is doing their job at their best. When you feel when you're just fully engaged, like nothing around you matters. You're just locked in to what they're either saying or doing in that ring. And that's the beauty of it. That is the mark of a true professional, and being just fully engaged in what you're doing, so that way your audience is fully engaged in what you're doing. I can't praise this part enough. And like people are going to be praising this a while, or they'll be dissecting it saying, oh well, this was bad, this was trash, blah blah blah, CM Punk's a hypocrite. Guess what, a lot of people are hypocrites in life. It's just life. Like
Yeah.
it happens, you
Because
know.
a good thing you brought that up, because you would think when CM Punk came back, he already knew what he was walking into when it came to him coming back to the company that he constantly shit on years on end. That's already a sign of a hypocrite there. And then you have the whole thing of, well, eventually down the line, he knows what he's getting into when it comes to these Saudi shows that they do. At first, he wasn't doing them, but you look at how everything's lined up when it comes to the Royal Rumble being in Saudi, and then whenever they get a WrestleMania in Saudi, you can't have CM Punk not on those shows, like especially with WrestleMania, when you're trying to sell these tickets and make all these high-profile matches. We're not saying that we want a Saudi in WrestleMania, but it's only bound to happen. But it's like you can't have a WrestleMania without like CM Punk on there if he's like a part of the company around that time, which I'm pretty sure he will be. So it's like he already knew he was walking into that territory, so it was only a matter of time. So he had to get used to the atmosphere. That's something that somebody brought up that I do agree with, where it's like everything was laid out in front of you before you even walked in, so you already knew what territory and what landmines you were stepping on.
Yeah, because I mean, another star that was against the Saudi shows, same as Zayn, he was against them for a bit.
That is true.
I mean, eventually, he did come around to it. I mean, granted, his situation's a little, different when it comes to not doing the Saudi shows, but like he was able to kind of, push through and all that, and ended up doing some of them and all that. And hell, he'll probably be part of this one too. I mean, not part of like King of the Ring, but like in some other aspect, I could see him being part of it. But like, I think another thing I wanted to highlight from this promo segment is the fact that Punk compared the two of them to how they both used to be. Like, he was just like, oh, look at me. I sound a lot like PG John right now, and you sound like 2011 CM Punk. You're following in my footsteps and all that. Like, and that's what I like about him, like comparing himself to Obi-Wan, kind of being like, now you're the Padawan now. You're following me. You're going with what I basically taught you and all that. Oh, isn't that ironic? Isn't that just kind of funny how now I'm kind of the corporate shill and you're the one fighting the system? That's kind of rich coming from you, isn't it? I just, again, like there was a lot of good stuff in this promo segment, and again, they keep referencing like the truth and all this stuff, like the truth, the truth, the truth. John, you hate the truth. I see right through you. I see the truth and all that stuff. So like, we're really tying in Ron Killings with all this. We're really tying in, that character in everything. And I remember saying like I feel like Truth / Ron Killings, whatever name you would call him anymore now. I still feel like he's going to be the crux of Cena turning back again. Because I think once Cena turns back, we'll get that happy-go-lucky R-Truth again instead of Ron Killings. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be next week, because that would be just like really soon. And I'm not going to lie, I think when I saw a little ad for Perth, and they were like, yeah, WWE is going to be in Perth in October. They're promoting Cena with the title with it. And I know things can change, subject to change and all that stuff. But like I see that, I'm like, okay, there's a possibility John's still going to be holding that title in October. Like
Mm-hmm.
he or if anything, he might win it back if he loses it. But whatever,
Oof.
that's just speculation at this point. But so after Punk is done talking, gives a little shoulder push to John as he's leaving. R-Truth comes back out and attacks John, locks in the STF. And I like how Punk came back. He's just like, yeah, the truth hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, just had to get one more line out there. And we find out later on that we're going to get R-Truth versus John Cena next week on SmackDown. When has John had a televised like TV match besides like Saturday Night's Main Event?
The last time I recall was probably, I think it was like something with Kevin Owens at like a SmackDown a couple years ago.
Was it that tag match he did?
Yeah.
God, that was forever ago.
Yeah, because that was basically one of those things where it's like he appeared once a year and he had like that one match to keep up the streak.
Yep. Yeah, that was like late 2022, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they faced Roman and Sammy. Man, wow, that was a long time ago. That feels like ages ago. Oh boy, but yeah, how do you feel about getting R-Truth and Cena next week?
I don't mind it because I'm just curious to see where this Truth character is gonna go. I feel like that's what I'm really intrigued in because I feel like there's more to whatever's going on with the character than the result of the match, because that's the real meat and potatoes when it comes to how this version of Truth is going to evolve when it comes to the Ron Killings character. Because just looking at how he is and then looking at how he was acting in the back before Nick Aldis approached him, it does seem like he has some sort of like split personality, or he's trying to have the higher power do all of the bidding when it comes to people. He really just wants to mess up. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like that's what I'm more intrigued in, because you could look at it where it's like, oh, well, John Cena could win again just like he did, or things could lead to shenanigans where it's just an all-out brawl. Maybe Ron Killings leaves the ring, comes out for chair or whatever the case may be to add more damage to John Cena, because I feel like you got to do something there. Because one thing's for sure is when it comes to like Ron Killings like evolving as a character, especially what we saw on Monday, you got to keep capitalizing on it. So I feel like if I had to make a prediction, and if it doesn't happen, it's fine. Maybe he does like some brutal attack on Cena. Because it would just be really weird to me where he just does this and then Cena beats him the following week. Because I can't see them bringing him back, especially if they're trying to tweak his character so it's a little bit different. So we could take it seriously. Because obviously this version of Truth right now is more serious. It has him not doing any comedic things like he brought up during his promo segment on Monday. Because that was pretty much his mission statement, what he was trying to do, what he's after, the kind of goals that he's trying to achieve. So it's like, I'm just hoping there's something there when it comes to this match itself that maybe helps Truth in some way, because I don't know for sure if we're gonna get like a winner here.
Yeah, like I could see it ending in like a DQ or something.
That's what I'm starting to feel. Probably a DQ.
Yeah, just because Ron Killings wants to just hurt John Cena. Like, he doesn't want to. I don't think he just wants to win. He wants to do some damage to Cena, which, I mean, fine. Like, I mean, Truth could go for the title at one point. That could be cool as well. But I mean, I don't really see that with what's going on here, because I think deep down too, like, Truth, Ron Killings, whatever. He does want to bring John back. Like, he wants that childhood hero back. He wants that happy-go-lucky, that Super Cena to return to, like, give us one final thing. Or, as CM Punk said, be put on this pedestal by the crowd so that way you can get all of the praise
Yeah.
showered upon you, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing
So
too. It's like when are they gonna really pull the trigger with that? Because I know some people are saying they could do it around fall, but I don't know if they're gonna do one of those things where it's like once he loses the title, we start transitioning into that. I don't know if they want to wait until like 2 months before he's done.
yeah. Yeah, I really don't know how they do this. Because I mean that's the thing. Like John, and I mean I've made my comments before about like John's heel turn and how like he's doing it so that way. It's kind of complicated to even put into words too.
Hmm.
It because it's almost in a way like John's trying to be hated as he's going out,
Yeah.
because of like all that happened throughout his career with him being, Super Cena, like almost quote unquote burying people, like all those stories that you hear. So he's trying to like give back in a way that he is kind of forcing himself to take all this damage from,
Yeah.
and like because you can kind of see at certain points it hurts him. It hurts him getting like legit booed and all that,
Oh yeah.
at least character wise and all that. So it's like I'm doing this so that way like the business can be better when I leave it and all that. Even though he's saying, "Oh, I'm gonna ruin wrestling and all that," but like that's just something that the IWC has told him for many years that he was doing, and yeah, I'm looking to see what the end goal is, or like the end point of all this. Like, how do we get back to the John Cena that we all love and adore? Like, is it gonna be like an admittance of that, or is it gonna be like through a match with him losing the title? Uh, yeah, I don't know, and I mean we could sit here speculate all night
Yeah.
with it, but we got other things to talk about and all that. So I mean, any final words before we move on to our tournament rounds tonight?
The only other thing I really have to say is I feel like what you just said right there probably just stems off to the whole thing me and you talked about before when it comes to the sort of valuable lessons he takes with the kind of opponents that he comes across. That's basically
Yeah.
like what is he gonna learn coming out of CM Punk that we'll eventually
Mhm.
see.
Yeah, because I think Punk is somebody that could really bring out the John Cena of old
Oh yeah.
and really show us like the old Cena that we know and love and all that. But yeah, so we're gonna move on now because we had like about 5 matches tonight, a couple segments too to talk about, and 4 of those matches included King and Queen of the Ring round 1 matches. Because again, we're doing all these fatal 4 ways, moving into our semifinals and all that stuff. So we had 2 for the men, 2 for the women to go through. We're gonna start with our men's side here. So after this whole stuff started with Cena tonight, we went right into our first round match with the men's King of the Ring tournament. We had LA Knight taking on Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, and Aleister Black. And these 4 guys cooked, from everyone ganging up on Mel at the beginning to Mello actually like getting the upper hand for a bit, just using his speed and cunning little ways that he is, with being this plucky upstart and all that. We had Aleister Black with innovative counters. Like there was one where like I think it was Carmelo Hayes tried to throw him out of the ring, and he just kind of like did his little bounce back kind of thing. We had Randy and LA Knight pulling the veteran sides of all this, so like picking their spots, especially that like double DDT, like double draping DDT and neckbreaker thing. That was really cool. Like timing wise, that was excellent
Oh
and
yeah.
very well done by them. But yeah, they're taking the veteran roles and all that, and this ends when LA Knight he goes up for his elbow drop, but then Bronson Reed comes out, and so does Braun Breaker. They cost LA Knight the match. Carmelo Hayes goes up for a splash, but gets intercepted by Randy Orton with a midair RKO, and Orton pins Knight to pull out the win. Randy moves on to the semifinals. Again, I had a lot of fun with this match. I thought it was really good. These guys, obviously, they're professionals and all that, but like for 2 of them being veterans as they are, same with Aleister Black with like his experience, and Carmelo Hayes with his I mean, I struggle saying lack of experience, but with all the guys that are in the ring with him, he's kind of the least experienced out of all of them, to my knowledge. So I thought he did really well in this match too. But like, yeah, this whole thing was just really good. But we had mentioned that this program with LA Knight and Seth Rollins is going to be pretty much starting here now, because we said we had LA Knight on Monday come on to Raw and run roughshod on everybody dealing with Seth Rollins. So it seems like we might be building towards a match with them at Night of Champions, which again I'm all for. Just give him like some sort of like main event talent to work with and to bounce off of, and to really like again remind people how good he is in the ring with somebody as good as Seth Rollins. But what do you think of the match overall? How do you feel about like how LA Knight got kind of screwed out of this too? Because like he could have had the match won, but again, big boys coming out to do big boy things and destroy him and all that. But yeah, what do you think of everything?
Honestly, I saw it coming because of what
Hmm.
transpired on Monday. Because if you looked at how things played out on Monday, you had Braun Breaker in that match. He almost had it won, but then LA Knight came out of nowhere, hit him with a BFT, and then that's pretty much when Sammy took the advantage, and then he ended up succeeding in that match and moved on to obviously fight Randy Orton, which was the winner of this match next Friday. So that wasn't surprising to me, because it's like, you do this to me, I'm going to do this to you. Because it would just be weird if me and you happen to watch this episode of SmackDown and then those two guys, or at the very least Braun Breaker, didn't do something to really screw over this guy because of what he did to him on Monday. It just looks silly. Like, oh yeah, I'll just let you qualify. It's okay. Because I see the exact same thing happening next week on Monday Night Raw, where Bronson Reed has a qualifying match. LA Knight's probably going to come out, cost him. And I don't know if you saw that whole video where LA Knight's like walking backstage. He did like the 3 thing, and then he did the
Oh
2
yeah.
because he took out Braun Breaker, pretty much screwed him out of his match. And then he'll probably do, you probably end up seeing another video where he does this, and then there's like one left, and obviously that's Seth Rollins. So this definitely is building to Seth Rollins versus LA Knight. And when it comes to somebody that could really bring the best out of LA Knight, Seth Rollins can do that, because Seth Rollins gave Omos his best match. I remember when I saw Seth Rollins versus Omos, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to see this shit. I'm being honest, I didn't want to see it. And then when you saw Seth Rollins versus Omos, a lot of people are like, holy shit, that was Omos' best match. Like, we actually saw Seth bring something different out of Omos that actually
Hmm.
got us, a little invested in this match, especially when it came to like how it ended, when it came to the super stomp that Seth Rollins did on the top rope to pretty much take out Omos. So it's like, you really want somebody to go in there in the ring to like really bring LA Knight to the next level. I mean, Seth Rollins is the perfect person to do so, because he's done this with a lot of people. He did it when Cody came back. He's done it with like other people that he's come in contact with. So I'm honestly looking forward to this. I feel like that's a good spot for LA Knight, because at least he's in the main event picture. Obviously not fighting for a title or anything, but at least he's working with main event talent and not dealing with like the mid card, which I feel like at this point he should just transition to main event status and just feud with any of those guys revolved around the main event picture. And the
Yeah.
match itself, you look at LA Knight, Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, or Aleister Black. I mean, that's pretty stacked when it comes to the amount of talent within that match itself. And they did cook. They did a very good job in this match. I was invested. I was really intrigued to see how things were going to go. And there was a part of me within this match itself, like when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed screwed over LA Knight, I actually thought there was a little part of me that actually thought that Carmelo Hayes was actually going to get the W on
Same
LA
here.
Knight, because when I saw that, I was like, okay, a little unpredictability there. No Miz involvement or anything. We haven't really seen him since that last segment that they had in the back. So I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting, because they did something a little bit later that we'll talk about in the next segment that was also added like a sense of unpredictability as well. So it's like when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But then obviously they didn't show this on the camera because they wanted to give us that shock value. That's when Randy Orton pretty much hit that RKO out of nowhere. Carmelo Hayes pretty much left because LA Knight was already taken out, and everything that Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker did was legal because it's a fatal 4-way. And then he took that advantage. He pinned LA Knight, and then he advanced to the next round, which I had a feeling looking at this match itself that was my pick initially. So yeah, this match is really good. Like I just love seeing a lot of top guys working with each other in this match itself. I mean, just it's nice just to see Aleister Black working for Randy Orton and all these other guys too. It makes him feel special. It makes him feel important. Just being incorporated in that. You know, same thing with Carmelo Hayes, just being involved with those 3 other guys in a pretty big match to earn a spot at potentially getting a title shot at SummerSlam. So I just like the involvement here. I really do like it.
Oh yeah, yeah, same here, and especially like I do want to give a shout out to Randy just because
Yeah.
I mean he's getting up there in age, and plus he's never been like well no I don't mean to say that. Never mind. He's been nimble in the ring before, but like again he's a little older now, a little bulkier now, so he's not as nimble as he used to be. So him being able to like keep up with like Carmelo, Alistair, even LA Knight to an extent is really good on his part too. Like being able to keep up with them in the ring as he did, because like there were times where I mean Aleister Black could have hit the Black Mass. Like there was one point where he almost did on Orton, but you know Orton stopped himself and all that stuff and kept hitting power slams on everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I thought every man really brought it tonight, and I kind of agree with you. I almost thought that Carmelo Hayes had. I'm like, oh, are we about to get an upset tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't have been opposed to it. You know, great. We're gonna push him a little bit. You know, kind of give him more experience points. All right, great, cool, neat. But of course, RKO out of nowhere. Randy picks up the win. Again, makes sense, especially what we got earlier tonight with him and Cody staring off, which I think we can speak more about that with the next Fatal 4-Way,
Yeah.
because of the winner there and the news we heard earlier. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm curious now, like, because we know where LA Knight's gonna go, and hopefully that means he's gonna stay on Raw, like we've talked about
Yeah.
on multiple occasions here, to
Yeah.
like have him stay there and go for like the world heavyweight title
Yeah.
because he could get it there. Um, yeah, just like where does Carmelo and Alistair go here? I mean, they could probably have some more matches with each other, maybe bump them up eventually to like US title picture and all that. Uh yeah, we'll have to see what happens with those two because they put in a lot of work tonight.
Oh yeah.
You know, in most of these Fatal 4-Ways, there's always been like 2 people that put in a lot of work compared to the other 2, and that's just the nature of a Fatal 4-Way anymore with WWE. But yeah, the Mello and Alistair were those 2 guys tonight, and I thought they did really well working the whole match and creating a good match that really had you invested, and again gave you a hope spot for Carmelo Hayes to possibly win, which again he didn't, but you know that's fine and all that. At least he didn't eat the pin. At least it was LA Knight who ate the pin, you know.
Yeah.
So, but with our next Fatal 4-Way match, we had Damian Priest taking on Cody Rhodes, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Andrade. Now, again, when you look at the brackets, you could kind of maybe tell how each one's gonna go, at least until we get to the semifinals. This match was also really good. I mean, when I talk about 2 people putting in a lot of work in these matches, I mean Nakamura and Andrade were definitely those guys, especially like Nakamura being in control for most of it, or at least like in the second half of the match, being in control a lot. Especially when they put Cody through that Slim Jim table, you know, sponsor Slim Jim table. Great, cool, neat. Got that money tonight. Thank you, Slim Jim, for all your hard work and money to make SmackDown run and all that. Um, and what's really cool too with this match, and you kind of hold on, I'm looking at the last match. Okay, no, never mind. What's cool with this match though is half the competitors in like Damian Priest and Cody Rhodes are former world champions.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having like Andrade, who just got back, mix it up with 2 former world champions. You have Nakamura, like Yeah, you could make arguments about Nakamura standing in the company and all that, but like he's still mixing it up with top guys and all that, and still showing just how good he is. I mean, he that that's like baseball slide, not power bump, like baseball slide, German suplex that he does off the ropes to people.
Hmm.
Like he just does it so smoothly, and he did it on a guy like Damian Priest, who's like very big and lanky, like and he made it look easy, like and since Shinsuke's so good, I hope he gets a world title before he retires, but that's a whole different other topic and all that. But I mean, the match was good. It kind of ends with Damian Priest being, knocked out into the ring, out of the ring, and all that. And Cody starts doing the triple crossroads on Andrade, but Nakamura stops it, tries to put a sleeper hold on him, tries to do some other move, maybe the crossroads or something, but Cody reverses it, hits a crossroads, pins Nakamura. That's your lot and all that. Cody moves on, and he's going to face the winner of this next men's fatal four-way next week, which has what was it? It's Bronson Reed, Sheamus,
Rusev
Rusev,
and
and we got announced earlier Jay Uso is now in the King of the Ring tournament. Let's start with the match first. What you think of the match overall, and just like Cody going over as well, and just how the chemical reaction between the four guys was in the ring when it comes to like their in-ring work.
I mean, I thought this match was really good, especially when you have names in there like Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes, and Andrade. No disrespect to Shinsuke Nakamura, but it's like I'm just out of tune with the guy now in like today's world when it comes to his position right now. I can't really like hype myself up for Shinsuke Nakamura anymore just because of the overall presentation that they've been giving him ever since. But you look at what transpired here. I mean, Andrade is always great, so just him being involved with these guys is nice. Damian Priest, former world champion, like you said. Same with Cody Rhodes. Those two know each other very well, so you were able to see them work very well in the ring together. And I just really liked how, a lot of these guys had a good moment here. You had Andrade with the with the moonsault when he took out all the guys outside. You also had the double, I believe it's like the double Cody cutter that Cody tried to pull off.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah, it looked cool.
Yeah, because he's I know he's executed it before, but I don't know if the other party members weren't really lined up for it. I believe you almost got like an avalanche Razor's Edge, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was setting that up, but he didn't do it. And I also believe there was also one for Shinsuke Nakamura too, where didn't he just like launch all the guys off of the turnbuckle, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I think that was what led to Cody being put through the table.
Yeah, I know it stunned
Yeah.
him, and then that's when it happened.
Yeah.
But it's like, each of these guys, like I mentioned, they all had a good spot that you could look at within the match itself. And the winner here, not really surprised with the outcome because it makes sense for them to go with Cody Rhodes. And then you have the bracket lined up now where it's like Sami Zayn and Randy Orton for next week's SmackDown, and then Cody Rhodes versus whoever comes out of that match for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. So yeah, let's kind of talk about that little elephant in the room. So yeah, again, earlier today we had a little video from Adam Pearce on Twitter announcing that Jey Uso is the mystery man in the King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people liked it.
I thought another person was. I was saying, because I just saw a report recently about Ilya Dragunov today, actually, that his return is supposed to be soon. So when you usually see reports like that, it's usually like the following show. So when I looked at that news that came out today, I was like, okay, he would fit in that category when it comes to the competitors in that match. That's pretty much like his football game, where he's going up against all these bigger guys that are bigger than him. Like, he just works really well with big guys. We've seen it before for other matches that he's participated in. he's not afraid of shit when he comes up against these guys. So when I saw that spot, I was like, yeah, that has to be Ilya Dragunov. Saw the report, yeah, it has to be him. And then we saw that it was Jey Uso.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm indifferent to it because it's like I get it, to a point because it's like, all right, well, he just lost the title.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to build back up to him probably facing Gunther again for the title because
Ooh.
I mean, we also know why Gunther got that title because guess who's next? Uh, good
Oh
old
yeah.
Atlanta in Saturday night's main event. That's going to be their counter booking for All In is a Goldberg World Title match.
I don't care to see that. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'll be watching Adam Page
Yeah.
possibly winning. Uh, so sorry about that, everybody. Oh, that's gonna be a weird day. Oh, how are we gonna do? Ooh, how are we gonna do that coverage?
I don't know.
Vash has it. Vash can do it. Vash, if you're watching this right now, future Vash has it. Yeah, he'll cover Saturday Night's Main.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's weird because it almost kind of telegraphs kind of like what this match did with like having Cody in it. It almost kind of telegraphs the semifinals in a way.
Yeah.
Like Jay's
Oh,
gonna probably
actually,
find some way to win. Oh, go ahead.
no. All In starts at 3 in the afternoon. So they did
Oh,
that
that's
for a reason.
great. Okay, all right. Wow, that's 3 in the afternoon?
Yeah, they did that for a reason
Oh,
because of
crap.
this.
Omega Okada is gonna go an hour and a half. Holy crap. Okay. All right, strap yourselves in for that, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll talk about AEW another time. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so like it somewhat telegraphs the semifinals, but like for me with this tournament, it's all about the stories going into it. So like, you have Sammy still trying to chase that world title. He's got the stuff with Karrion Kross, like kind of pushing him to be on the dark side and all that stuff. You got Randy wanting to get his revenge on John, willing to go through anybody through any means necessary, whether or not that comes with some punt kicks here and there. Who's to say with what happens? With
Mm.
Cody, again, it's going after John, trying to get back to him, even though what I don't get with Cody being part of King of the Ring is the fact that he pinned John in a tag match.
Yeah.
And normally in like wrestling spheres and realms, whenever you pin the champion, whether it's in a random like singles match or a tag match or whatever, usually no matter what, if you pin the champion, you're just number one contender at that point. So it, it's odd to me that they put Cody in the King of the Ring tournament for that reason. But I mean, I'll let WWE cook on their end with that. Fine, whatever. But like with Jay in here, it's like okay, now you're kind of getting more interesting here because like now we're gonna add Jay, who's gonna be wanting to go after Gunther again to reclaim his world title again and all that, which means now our semifinals are possibly going to be, Sami Zayn and Orton, and then Cody versus Jay, possibly. And it's like, story wise, that match has me very intrigued because what are they going to do with that? Because no matter who wins or loses, the other person's, like, I don't want to say, like, oh, their quest towards the world title is dead and gone right there, but it is in the sense when it comes to like that moment because it's like okay, well now their road to SummerSlam has to go a different turn. It has to go down like this other like dark and windy road instead of through King of the Ring. So it's like, what are they gonna do at that point? And that's got me the most curious right now. I don't know if that's the same with you or not, but and it also kind of depends on if Jay does actually go over on Monday, which I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does or doesn't. Like it, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that. What do you think of like just that prospect of like having Jay and Cody in the semifinals, and like any early predictions where the company might go at that point? Because I mean, those are two big stories like going into SummerSlam for a main title. Like how does the company navigate that?
So there's two directions this could possibly go down.
Mhm.
So the first direction, and I'll just call it the safe route because WWE normally has their safe route that they normally try to do. Like sometimes they don't want to take risks when it comes to how they book things, so they normally go the safe route. And that's Cody Rhodes winning the King of the Ring. And I'm not saying I have anything against that because I don't.
No.
But that would just be a way for Cody to get to John Cena, and then he possibly wins the match at SummerSlam, and then you go from there with whatever you want to do with Cody next in the year, or whatever you want to do with Cena in the year, because that just seems like something that they might possibly do. Which is why, when we talk about the woman later, we were so focused on Charlotte potentially winning that match, but it didn't happen. So it could just be one of those directions that WWE goes down. Another direction that I could see it go down, and this would build to WrestleMania next year, is you have Sami Zayn win King of the Ring, and then that gives him that big spot in Saudi when he wins, because he's going to be the favorite when he enters that final match if he does take part of it. Sammy and Orton, if I recall, last year also had a match with one another, and Randy Orton went over in this match. Are they going to do the same thing here? They're going to have Orton go over on Zayn again, or is Zayn going to capitalize and actually beat Orton here and actually earn a spot at Night of Champions? So if
Yeah.
Sami Zayn potentially wins this match, you would have him and Gunther again at SummerSlam. And then this could just be one of those things where it's like Seth Rollins decides to be basically Seth Rollins polls was at a WrestleMania 31
Mhm.
when it came to Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns, where he makes himself the third person in that match, and that becomes a triple threat, and he pretty much steals Sammy's moment of winning the big one. Like hypothetically, it's not Gunther getting pinned in that match itself, because once it's a triple threat, anyone goes at that point, even the champion. So it could easily be one of those things where you have Sami Zayn win, he goes to SummerSlam, he goes up against Gunther. Seth Rollins sees the opportunity right there. He cashes in his money in the bank. He takes part in the match itself, because we know Gunther always loves to beat the absolute living shit out of his opponents. And
Oh, yeah.
then Seth does what he normally does. He wins the match. He pins Sami Zayn. He gets the title. That fulfills another mission statement that he is currently thriving for it right now. And then you start building more to that chase with Sami Zayn, where he wins the Royal Rumble next year. And then you have that hatred that was pretty much being built ever since WrestleMania. Seth steals his moment at SummerSlam. Sammy wins the Royal Rumble next year. He goes through hell again to earn that top spot. And then you got Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania next year. And then that's when Sammy gets the moment. Because I saw
Yeah.
some people out here saying, oh, it could be one of those things where Sammy beats Gunther and then he wins the title, and then Seth cashes in right there and steals his moment. I feel like when Sami Zayn wins the championship, especially the first time, they're going to want to make that a WrestleMania moment. So I can't see it being one of
Yeah.
those things where it's like, okay, he wins it, but then he loses it right away. Like, you're going to want Sammy to have all of that anger and frustration inside of him because of what Seth did. And then that's pretty much the building blocks, which they tend to do around this time anyway, especially in the fall,
Mhm.
where they lead to next WrestleMania. So that's like a direction I can possibly see them going down with this when it comes to Sami Zayn winning it, or they do Cody Rhodes winning it. So it's like it's those two guys to me.
Yeah. And like that's the thing too. It's just like if we go the Sammy route and Seth catches in, makes it a triple threat, and pins Sammy for the title, you could always do an angle where, like, after either directly after the match or on Monday, where Gunther, like an irate Gunther, goes after Sammy and kind of hurts him enough to kind of write him off TV for like a few months,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean that'll just add even more to it, beyond that. But like, yeah, there's just so many possibilities that can go down with this. I mean, again, like you said, the safe route of having Randy and Cody in the finals, which we say safe, but like that's also something we've been craving
Yeah.
since Cody even came back to the company like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we've been wanting that match between him and Orton. So imagine that being in the finals. But like then you go the interesting route where it's Sammy and Jay in the finals. And it's like you have these two people who also call themselves brothers in a sense, like going after it. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna like who wants it more? And like that's so sports like because it's like, okay, who's hungry more for this? Who desires that glory more? Does Sammy want it to finally get his first shot at the title or like his first chance at the title, or does Jay want it more to reclaim that high honor, that high status of being a world champion and all that? And I mean, even just like the different versions of it, because like you could have Sammy and Cody, because like that has something into it as well with those two, like with deep respect for one another. And then like with Randy and Jay, I mean, they have kind of a bitter past with each other because of the bloodline stuff and all that, but also, I mean, they were on the same side for a bit against the bloodline too. So it's like there's something there too. So like, and all of this is contingent too of like how Monday goes, because I mean, it could be a thing where Rusev or Sheamus wins, but
Yeah.
I kind of doubt it. Because I'm on the same boat as you. I think LA Knight is going to do something to cost not Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed that
Yeah.
match and all that. Um, but yeah, it just depends on where they go with it. But like, yeah, I think the announcement itself I felt indifferent about, but just like the storyline implications, no matter which way we go, has me more intrigued and more behind Jay being part of King of the Ring than it does if anybody else was involved. Because I know wanted Karrion Cross in it. I was one of those people that like saw the Ilya Dragunov news and was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, give me my Saiyan Prince back into the company doing stuff." But like, I feel like WWE has a different vision going on right now, and I mean I do want them to push these guys too, in Carrion and Dragunov when he comes back. But I mean WWE's more story focused right now, and kind of they have something else they want to do. They have a different meal that they want to cook that's more of, yeah, just has more meat to the bone, I guess, to it. Um, yeah, I mean that's just early talks about King of the Ring and all that. We'll have more of an insight of that when we get to Monday after that qualifying match. But of course, besides the King of the Ring, we've got the Queen of the Ring going on. We had two qualifying matches for this. We had our first one, which is Michin taking on Piper Niven, Nia Jax, and Jade Cargill. I thought this match was pretty good. Um, very hard hitting. We had three powerhouse talents and a scrappy Michin in this match. So
Mm.
already it's going to be physical. It's going to be one that's going to have like a lot of just hard action going on. Nia and Piper Niven end up teaming up for a bit. They end up taking out Jade and Wade Barrett at the same time too at one point. And I mean, they just beat up on Michin most of the match, anyways. And Nia actually almost has the match won
Mm.
when she hits the Annihilator on Michin, but because her and Piper had a falling out in the match, Piper breaks up that, and she ends up putting Nia through the barricade. That got me hyped when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, hell yeah. Way to go, Piper Niven." Again, remind people that you're actually good. Like you're more than just your comedy act, which is also pretty funny, at least to me. But Piper hits her finisher on Michin, and she's then immediately hit by Jade Cargill, who picks up the win. She moves on to the semifinals to face uh who won that match again? I can't recall right now. Uh,
Oh,
anyway, she's
the
the Raw
Roxanne.
one.
Roxanne.
Yeah, Roxanne. Okay, yep. So oh my gosh, she's facing Roxanne. Oh my gosh. Well, sorry, Roxanne. Sorry, you're gonna have to eat a jaded at this. But you know what? I enjoyed this match more than the other qualifying match for the women. I kind of had a lot more fun with this, especially with Nia and Piper kind of teaming up a little bit,
Mm,
just beating up on Michin a bit.
mm.
But yeah, I kind of had a little bit more fun with this, and uh, again, kind of like what you saw with like Cody being in one and Randy being in another. You kind of knew Jade was gonna win this one, and she was gonna move on to the semifinals, and if I'm being honest, probably the finals.
So when it comes to this, when it comes to the match itself, I had fun with it when it came to the competitors
Mhm.
that was involved here. And I had a feeling, jumping into this, that we were going to get the result that we did when it came to not Chelsea, when it came to Jade Cargill winning. Because I recall me and you saw a report come out not that long ago. Or I don't know. I know we didn't cover it yesterday, but I did see a report how they have like
Yeah.
some sort of push planned for Jade Cargill, and I feel like this was the sort of direction that they were going to be heading down when it came to that, which is
Mhm.
why we ended up getting the result that we did when it comes to Jade Cargill factoring into whatever transpired here, because it's like, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
touch on the Nia Jax stuff shortly. I know you're excited to talk about
Uh,
that, but it's like, I mean, just looking at what's happening here, like who ended up eating the pin here? Michin? Oh no, not Michin. It was Piper
no, it
Nip.
was
Pipe.
Piper.
Yes. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, this match itself. I'll be honest. I'm probably like the opposite. I actually enjoyed
Mhm.
the other one just because of the finish of that match. A little
Yeah.
bit more, but yeah, I mean, this match itself was just like a Jade Cargo win. That's all I could really say coming out of this. Like, I didn't really feel as much with this.
Yeah. I would give the finish to the other match over this one. So I would say that. But I don't know. I have other complaints when it comes to the other match. I kind of like this one a little bit better just overall, but yeah. Like you said, that this was Jade's match to win, and yeah, that not much to really dissect from that compared to like the King of the Ring stuff, which kind of sucks for the women. Like, there's not much to kind of dive with, but that actually comes with something I'll bring up later on when it comes to Nia Jax. But our other Fatal 4-Way match, so it was originally going to be Chelsea Green, but she's apparently on vacation, and we actually get a bit in the back where Alba Fire and Piper Niven go up to Nick Aldis with Chelsea Green on FaceTime, and she's like, "Hey, Nick, I couldn't make it to crappy Kentucky, so can you just move my qualifying match to next week? Okay, thanks, bye." And he's like, "No, we still gonna have the match, but hey, Alba Fire's here. She'll just take your place. That's fine." And I love how like they leave the phone with them, and like Zelina Vega comes in, and I mean her segment really quick. Everybody, she basically wants Julia. She's not here, and like Zelina spouts some shit and proves once again why she should have a mic in the ring and cut a promo because she's really good at them. Yeah, it's a short little thing there, but not much to go off beyond that. They'll get their match probably at Evolution too. But like, I love how they still have the phone, but during that little conversation, they didn't even hang up on Chelsea. They just turned the volume down, so like you can still hear Chelsea like on the phone on the phone's on Nick Aldis's desk, and you can just hear it like very faintly in the background, like her just bitching and moaning the whole time. It's really fun. I found it really funny. I thought it was great. Um, so yeah, so Alba Fire replaced Chelsea Green here, and she was taking on Alexa Bliss, Charlotte, and Candice LeRae. So it's like, okay, well, either Alba Fire or Candice LeRae are eating the pin here. Flip a coin to figure out who that's gonna be. And right before the match, there's a short little interaction between Alexa and Charlotte, where Alexa's trying to be like, I haven't won Queen of the Ring yet. And Charlotte's like, oh, well, there's only one queen in WWE, and that's me. But nah, honey. When you get your entrance interrupted by the goddess, yeah, uh, get your queen status out of here. This goddess is just gonna walk by you like you're nothing. And then we get to the match. And so here's my thing with this match. Charlotte has kind of, at least for me, Charlotte's kind of lost touch when it comes to like being a ring general in a way. Because like a lot of this match was mainly just Alba Fire and Candice LeRae double teaming both women. And I mean, yeah, you kind of got the same thing too with the other Fatal Four Way, but they started like going, at least Piper and Nia started going after each other a lot sooner than Alba Fire and Candice LeRae did, because like it was basically just a glorified like almost handicap match most of this Fatal Four Way. So they're keeping Charlotte down. So Charlotte's barely getting any offense in except for like, oh, a natural selection, and oh, here comes a figure eight. Oh, here comes another figure eight. Like she didn't really get a lot in. And a lot of time when Charlotte was like moving around in the ring, she was kind of stumbling a lot. So I don't know if that was like her version. It might have just been her version of selling, but it felt very clunky. And there were some other times too where it's just like the other three competitors felt very clunky in the match. So I don't know if that was just like Charlotte's fault or like Alexa's fault or anybody's fault, or if it's just like, oh, we just all four don't really mesh well in the ring together. Um, but like I said, I like the finish of this match because we have Charlotte put on the figure eight on Alba Fire, and like you think, oh crap, well here comes the finish. Here comes what we all thought was gonna happen. Charlotte's gonna win. She's gonna move on to Queen of the Ring. She's probably gonna become Queen of the Wing. And wait, what? What's this? What? Alexa Bliss, Sister Abigail DDT pins Candice LeRae. She wins. She goes on. What? I popped hard when Alexa got the 1, 2, 3. Like that was awesome. That's how you like really just like kind of subvert expectations and be like, you know what? No, we're gonna go a different direction with all this. You guys think Charlotte's gonna win this? Nah, it's gonna be Alexa Bliss. That shocked me. I was not expecting this, and I'm happy for it because it's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, push Alexa a little bit more. She just got back. I mean, I know Charlotte just got back too, but like a lot more people like Alexa Bliss more than Charlotte, myself included. Yeah, that's just me with this match. Drop, I know you said you like this one more than the other Fatal Four Way, so go ahead and talk to me. What'd you like about it? Besides the finish, obviously, because I think we're both in agreement that this finish was really good. And I guess like the future when it comes to Alexa and Charlotte, because it seems like they might be having a program moving forward, or at least we're diving more into that possible program. But yeah, go ahead, talk to me about the match, finish, possibilities of the future with everybody.
That's the thing I liked about this match itself, is the fact that there was some unpredictability in it. Because when you look at the competitors involved, you could easily determine who's going to win it. So it's like, with Alexa Bliss coming up on top, and I know we spoke about, our thoughts besides that, but this was basically the main reason why I was invested in there. It's just because there's more to dissect here. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I like Jade, but WWE never gave me a reason to care about Jade as much And I already know the end result of that. If she does manage to become Queen of the Ring, Naomi's going to cash and pretty much get her moment. So I already know the end game there, and then we'll eventually venture down that route whenever it happens. But it's like you had this whole thing going on with Alexa and Charlotte, and how Alexa's always a step ahead of Charlotte. Like, it just adds more layers to Charlotte's character, where she can't be put in a Money in the Bank qualifying match, or she can't be put in a qualifying match at Queen of the Ring and win it and then just automatically be in the position that she's in. Because this goes from many years ago of Alexis saying, what's Charlotte Flair without a title? And we're seeing that right now when it comes to actually dissecting her character to actually make her more interesting. That's basically why I enjoyed this so much, because Alexa, no matter how far Charlotte runs, she's always crossing the finish line first. Like, she's like, it's almost like you're playing Mario Kart, essentially, where Alexa has the blue shell and Charlotte's in first place. Alexa uses the blue shell, hits Charlotte, because that's essentially what the item does. It hits the person who's in first place, and they get knocked back, and then Alexa's right behind her and she wins the match. Like, that's basically my reasoning as to just adding a little bit more as to why I enjoyed the finish here. But the match itself, I mean, I just like how the other girls got some scream time, because I really like Candice LeRae, especially what they were doing with her a couple months ago. It sucks that she's not really doing much now. And same with like the whole Alba Fire here, because she is very talented. So I just like seeing them mixing well with big names. I also liked how Candice LeRae was able to break up that pin when Charlotte was applying the figure eight. So that's also another thing I really liked. I just liked how they were aware of their surroundings here when it came to, okay, we're not going to just let this chick hit her submission and then just call it a day. Like, there was actually points within this match itself where it looked like it was going to end, but then all of a sudden someone's kicking someone in the face, someone's hitting a moonsault to break up the pin. There's like always something, you know, coming out from like the opposite direction that you're not expecting, which is why I enjoyed this match, because every time I saw Charlotte do the figure eight, I thought it was over, but it wasn't. It kept going on a couple times, and I just liked how, honestly, I also want to give Alba Fire some credit too when it comes to her actually being in that submission for as long as she was, because normally
she held out for a bit.
Yeah, because normally once she locks that in, it's like automatic, you know, tap out, and then you pretty much Charlotte wins the match there. But she was actually holding on for quite some time. She was actually like holding on to her knees. So like that's another thing that I really liked, is the fact that she had like a little fight in her, because we don't normally see that. It's usually when it's applied, it's like tap right away. But she actually held on a little bit longer. So I do want to give her some credit there. That's also another thing I really liked. And I mean, yeah, pretty much like those are my like thoughts on the match itself. It was just more moments for girls that really need to be put on the pedestal a little bit more, especially if it comes to like a mid-card division or whatever, and just getting some nice spots in between here.
Yeah. No, I see that. It's just, you know, there were some moments for me at least. Okay, some of the movement here is just kind of wonky a little bit, but no, some of those spots, you know, that you had mentioned were really good. You know, like again, Candice breaking up that figure eight that time, and yeah, with Alba Fire holding on as long as she did, yeah, that was really good. And I thought there was a split second that I thought they were gonna do a thing where it's gonna be like a double finish or something, where Alba Fire was gonna tap out at the same time that the ref hit the three.
Yeah.
So it was going to be like, oh, well, she tapped out, but she got the pin. Who's the actual winner? And like they would have to do maybe like a triple threat or like a bonus match or something to see who actually goes on. So part of me is kind of glad we didn't go that route, because I remember, I think it was at the beginning of this year, I wanted something very similar like this for Charlotte, for her to realize, you know, during that time she was gone, everybody else leveled up. You know, she was at level 20 and everybody else is at level 10 when she left, but now they're at like level 18 or 19 now. Like they're actually able to put up a better fight against her. Like there was a point she had a spear on Candice,
Yeah.
and Candice kicked out. I mean, yeah, you say what you want about the spear anymore, being a move or like a transitional move anymore, but like it's still a spear, man. Like Charlotte has won matches before with that spear, with that
Yeah.
same exact move, and Candice kicked out, and like you have this look from Charlotte, like, oh, well, dang, that was one of my big moves. What can I do now? So yeah, so a shout out to Candice as well, because she did pretty good too. I think most of my bias just comes from just how Charlotte has been this past year. You know, I think that's just where most of my kind of complaints come from. And I mean, 'cause she didn't do too much in this match besides like her big moves.
Yeah, that's
Like it was.
why I appreciate the struggle that they're doing. That's basically what
Yeah,
I took into account, because I really
yeah,
wasn't like over the moon about her performance here, but the struggle, the continued story of Alexa is what has me
mhm,
intrigued the most.
yeah. So I think that's where most of my complaints is just that part. But I mean, it kind of sucks that we don't have a lot to dissect when it comes to the women's side of these Queen of the Ring tournaments compared to the men's King of the Ring. But I mean, that's just the nature of WWE. But that kind of leads to another point I'm going to make later on when we talk about Nia Jax. But before we get into all that, let's kind of dive into some of our mid card stories. And our first one we're going to mention here is Jacob Fatu finally speaking after turning on Solo at Money in the Bank. So we get a little recap of what happened at that, where Jacob Fatu stopped Solo from getting the briefcase. He put him through a ladder and all that, and Jacob Fatu comes out, and he basically doesn't regret any of his actions, and it doesn't matter to him if your family, friend, colleague, coworker, whatever, if you mess up, you're gonna get these hands, Yarmin, all that stuff. And Solo interrupts him on the Titantron, basically like giving him the parent talk, really, just being like, I brought you into this company, like you were nothing until I came by, and then I made you something. I made you a champion, and all I want, like, I'll brush everything down. I will accept your apology, you know, as long as you just say four simple words, I love you, Solo. But if you don't, I'm gonna take you out. You're gonna be beaten up and all that. So that's gonna be happening next week. Uh, and I'm gonna tie this in too here because before SmackDown, we had Hikuleo make his debut against. I think it was one of the members of Pretty Deadly. He ended up beating up.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm thinking we're getting Hikuleo coming on to SmackDown next week.
Yep.
Uh, to help beat down Jacob Fatu and all that.
Yep.
Um, which is probably why we got this segment tonight. Just kind of continue the story a little bit. Not much to go on here, just other than the fact that Jacob's now just going to be a solo act, which good. The crowd's fully behind him. The crowd want to see him succeed, and I mean, once he's done with Solo, I mean, say what you want about Solo and his work and like where he's at in the card. I mean, this is going to be something that to really like bring Jacob Fatu up in the card. And I mean, if anything, he could probably be a top babyface on either brand, and it will be believable. But is there anything you wanted to add with this? I mean, there's not much to go off of this week, just because it was just kind of basic stuff
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, basically all I want to say right here is I like how he's keeping I like how his he pretty much has a good mindset here when it comes to
Mhm.
the sort of way the way that he wants to approach things, because if you look at how he's been treated with Solo for like the past couple months or so, and then you just look at things that was mentioned the Friday before Money in the Bank where he's like, Jacob Fatu's all gas and no brains, like obviously considering how dangerous this guy is, he's going to take that into account and
Mhm.
actually, do something about it. Because Jacob Fatu isn't the kind of person I expect to hear people talk shit and he just listens to it. Like, he's the kind of person I see bouncing at that exact moment to shut that person up. So I like
Oh yeah.
how he pretty much showed everybody who he is now moving forward, which is great because that's what we wanted. And then also the whole thing with Solo was pretty much setting up a segment, and I can easily see it played out in my head, where you have Solo Sikoa out there, you got JC Mateo, and then they're both in the ring with Jacob Fatu, which he's a tough guy, so he's able to hang out there, both of those guys. You could easily beat the shit out of him if you really wanted to. But you're gonna have that moment where, like, they have a promo segment. Solo's really trying to sell the whole thing where he wants him to say "I love you, Solo," even after everything that happened. And then Jacob Fatu's just not gonna be anyone's bitch and just submit to Solo like that. And then that's when you get Hikuleo attacking him, probably either coming out of the ring or the crowd. I would say the crowd, because the guy's pretty big, so he'd probably come out of the crowd. He would attack Jacob Fatu from behind, and that's pretty much when you get the beat down there to just basically showcase, hey, this is the new guy in our group now. His name is Hikuleo, which I'm glad they kept his name, Hikuleo. It's not like Tala Tonga, because I absolutely hated that name. Like, that literally sounds like a Vince McMahon name for wrestlers. Like, oh my God, look at this guy right here. He's tall. Let's call him Tala Tonga. It's like, really? That's not creative at all whatsoever. And that's another thing that's like really weird. Is like, there's a lot of these people that are coming over. They're keeping the names that they had. And then all of a sudden, you just get like these, probably at least with Starks and Mariah May, they just have things just vanish.
Yeah.
Because it shows that, like, they don't mind doing it. Because Julia has hers, Stephanie Becker has hers, all the Samoans have theirs. I still remember, what was it, like Caesar something? A lot of people thought a couple months ago. That was last year with Jacob Fatu. Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. But no, like, I'm glad he's not doing the Tala thing, because
that was so weird.
Like you said, it was. It's just like, oh yeah, he's gonna be known as Tala Tonga. It's just like, oh, is he now? I don't know about that. That's kind of cheesy. Is Vince back there? Is he still putting his nose into everything? Which, thank God, he's not.
Yeah.
Supposedly. I'm in agreement. I'm glad he's gonna be Hikuleo, and yeah, he's probably gonna be coming out next week.
Dude's
with
huge.
a beat down. Yeah. Oh my God, that dude is tall as hell. Like, I mean, we just kind of bitched and moaned about him being called Tala, possibly. Nah, that dude is huge. Like, he walked up to that ring, and like, because I saw the clip of him going to the ring and all that, and like, that dude is massive.
He basically did
crap.
like the way that Kane and the Taker enters the ring.
Yeah, like, just over the rope, man. It's crazy. I'm looking forward to him being on. Seeing what he can do and all that. I'm not too familiar with his work outside of WWE, so
no, me either.
I mean, I'll have to look some stuff up before next week and all that, but we'll get to that when we get to next week. But here's our next segment with Naomi. So, Naomi won the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, so, kudos to you. Glad you got that. Glad you're going to be getting your shot at the women's title eventually, but she's basically coming out here to kind of lay out her plan. She's not being coy with anything. She plans on going after Tiffany Stratton, which makes sense with the way that she kind of explained this. Was like, hey, you cashed in during my match. You knocked me out with with that briefcase and took advantage of all that and cash in your Money in the Bank. So watch yourself, because I'm going to cash in on you. So we know who her target is. And out comes Tiffany Stratton, who is basically out there to tempt her a little bit, being like, oh, go ahead, cash in on me right now. Why don't you? Go ahead and do it. But good on Naomi. She's not going to.
Yeah, that's smart.
Because I love how she's just like, who do you keep me for? Who do you think I am, Boo Boo the Fool? I'm like, oh my gosh, holy crap. Heel Naomi working off of other people. This is great. This is awesome. And also, shout out to Naomi, too, for, getting those What Chance shut down. Just being like, bitch, you heard what I said. It's like, oh, sorry. Sorry, we'll proceed with caution then when it comes to the what chance with you. But yeah, she's basically gonna make Tiffany's life a living hell and make her paranoid this whole time. So I can see her like coming out after each match that Tiffany has and just kind of like dangling the briefcase in front of her, but not like cashing in at that point. She had an opportunity tonight, but a certain Samoan told her not to, and it's like, all right, fine, I guess she's not.
Yeah.
Which
You want me to get my piece first before we dive into the next
what?
thing?
Yeah. How about you talk about the Naomi? Talk about the good part of this part, because
Yeah. So I like how she came out and said what she said because it makes sense. Because I mean, there's a lot of logic behind it. Because you had Tiffany Stratton go up against Nia Jax the first episode of SmackDown this year when they were, what was it like? It was pretty much like, the first SmackDown of the year where you was that the main event? I don't know. I think it might have been. I'm not sure.
It might have been.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure, but pretty much like you had Tiffany Stratton go up against Nia Jax in that match. I mean, no, not Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, Naomi go up against Nia Jax in that match for the women's WWE Women's title. And Naomi and Nia Jax, I will say, and a lot of people I've heard said this as well, do have good chemistry with one another. They do work very well in the ring when it comes to the two matches that they had. Because I did notice a lot of people said that, like when it comes to Naomi and Nia Jax, or Nia Jax and there was someone else as well that Nia Jax has some good chemistry with as well. But I do know that Naomi was the name that was brought up. But it's like they had that match itself. Tiffany saw her moment there. She cashed in. She hit Naomi and everything, and then she became the champion. So if you're going all the way back to January, looking at where Naomi is pretty much laying everything out now, it makes sense why she would wait for her moment to strike so she can get Tiffany, and then she could eventually win the women's title, which I do see happening possibly at SummerSlam, maybe at a later date. We don't really know. But it's like, that's something that I was invested in when I was listening to this promo segment between the both of them, because I'm glad Naomi won, and I'm hoping she has a successful cash in and everything, and I'm just waiting for us to really get there. So, that was like pretty much like the positive part when it comes to what was going on with Naomi and everything, because I thought they did very well there. I actually thought Tiffany actually did pretty well in this
she did
promo segment too, so I will give her some credit there. Like, she actually sounded a little bit different than she normally does when she's like in promo segments, so that's something that I can appreciate out of this. But then getting into the next thing, I mean,
out of everything you could have done tonight, like, you could have just let the segment breathe. You could have just left it alone until like next week. Because, like, that Tiffany should have a challenger for Night of Champions. It makes sense. Again, the name of the pay-per-view is Night of Champions. Every title should be on the line. The keyword should, but we'll come to that road eventually when we get closer to Night of Champions. So, we do need to find a legitimate challenger, and or at least a challenger. Did it have to fucking be Nia Jax again? Did it seriously have to be goddamn Nia Jax again? I swear, I thought we were done with this. I thought we were done with Nia and Tiffany. Tiffany beat Nia. It was done and over with. Move on from each other. But apparently not. You couldn't just wait a week. Like, and I tried to look at the roster too, and this is what kind of sucks right now. The women's roster on both Raw and SmackDown is kind of bare bones. And what I mean by that is, like, everybody's already kind of got their spot. So, like, you've got Zelina and Julia already with each other. Okay. BFAB's not really doing anything, so she's not really a decent contender at all. Piper and Alba Fire, like they're not really contenders at all either. You could throw Chelsea Green in there because hey, you had a good setup tonight for giving Chelsea Green a shot at Tiffany Stratton because you took her out of the Queen of the Ring tournament, so you could have been like, you know what, fine, you know what, that was somewhat unfair, even though your heel going against the Nick Aldis and all that, but like you could have done something where it was like a twist where it's just like, oh, you know what, fine, Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton at Night of Champions. Like, yeah, Chelsea's not gonna win that match, but that's the thing. Like, whoever's challenging Tiffany at this point is probably not winning that title. So why not just throw Chelsea Green at her? Because like everybody else is doing stuff. You're gonna throw Charlotte against Tiffany again? Doubtful at this point. Alexa's busy with Queen of the Ring. Michin, I mean, she just got decimated earlier tonight. I mean, you could throw her against Tiffany, but like I throw her in the same category as BFAB at that point. Like, and who else am I missing? Am I missing anybody from the women's roster? Who did I not forget? Jade Cargill's already like doing shit with Queen of the Ring. Yeah, Bianca is injured. Like, and that's only the SmackDown side of things. Raw, I mean, everybody else is kind of busy and all that. Like, you seriously, like, I get you don't really have many other options, but there was at least one other option besides fucking Nia Jax again. Like, it might just be biased too, because I'm kind of tired of Nia Jax as well. It just you could have done something different. You really could have, but no. We're just gonna go down the whole Nia Jax vortex again. Oh, I'm not finished with you yet, Tiffany. You lost. You lost your title. You lost your rematch.
In a brutal way.
Lost.
Too.
In a brutal way too. Like,
yeah.
and if anything, like probably one of your better matches too. Yeah. So you know what? I'll give you credit for that. But that's the thing. You lost. And you lost the Queen of the Ring match. Oh, you lost your qualifying match. You lost your first round match. But I'm just gonna go attack the freaking champion now. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
You sound like Jimmy Uso when he said you lost.
Thank you. Good. Just copy and paste Jimmy Uso right here.
I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you saw that meme going around, but a lot of people say 4 words. You lost.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. Poor Jimmy. Oh my god.
But
just
no, yeah, I agree completely, because like it came out of left field, because it's like I get the whole thing where you want to involve her in a qualifying match. That's fine, because you got to utilize your woman in that division for this whole tournament thing. So that's fine. It's whatever, that's normal to do things like that. But it's like the fact that she came after Tiffany again for that sort of thing, it's just like really random. Like, remember when we had reports about like Jordynne Grace coming up to SmackDown eventually, and now we have all this stuff happening on NXT, and I would assume probably whatever happens after this, they're done. They could have easily done something where they set up something with Jordynne Grace and Nia Jax being the unstoppable force, and knowing how strong Jordynne Grace does, they have a match, Jordynne Grace beats her, they move on. They could have done something. They could have done something new like that. There was like a lot of other things that they could have like really worked out to really figure out exactly what sort of direction they want to do with her. But the fact is, you can't keep getting in the way of everything that's currently going on, because ever since that match ended, you got Naomi's rise right now. This is her focus on winning the women's championship. And then whoever comes out of the Queen of the Ring is pretty much her target as well. So whenever they have that match at SummerSlam, she's going to keep her eyes on them. So if there is an opening right there, she's going to want to run out there for a briefcase to win that title from Tiffany Stratton, or whoever else is involved in that match as well. That's basically our main focus right now when it comes to those participants: Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, and then whoever wins Queen of the Ring. Those are the 3 centerpieces when it comes to the women's title picture right now. I don't understand the whole Nia Jax thing. It just seems like really weird, out of left field, and they could be doing so much more with her, but I don't really know what this is, because you can't keep going after the same person. Because I mean, she bled in that match when Tiffany, like, Tiffany saw the chair. There was a moment there she just used that to kick, fucked her up, made her bleed and everything.
Yeah.
There was even a poster, there was even a picture online of like the aftermath. So I'm like, what else is there, really?
Yeah.
It's like there's almost there's so much you can do, and like we talk about vortexes on here before, like the whole bloodline vortex of LA Knight. Now LA Knight's actually, yeah. Now LA Knight's actually moving on to something else, and he's focusing on whatever's going on with Seth Rollins, which is a plus for him because that could work out more in his favor. Regardless if he wins or loses, it's still going to help him out tremendously. But it's like there's nothing else you can do with like Nia Jax.
Yeah. Well, like, see, and this just goes into the problem that we kind of have right now, because like, so before we got into the show tonight, I actually like went online, and I'm to bring it too, because I was curious, who else could we put in this spot? Because I mean, obviously my first choice was Chelsea, because hey, the setup was kind of there. I mean, they could get around it and be like, oh, do it this way. Because again, she could just be a quick contender and all. But I had actually looked SmackDown roster, because I wanted to be like, okay, who is on the SmackDown roster right now could be a legitimate like contender, or like just anybody. I just wanted to know anybody, really.
Mm.
Yeah, I got the WWE website right now. Go away, ad. I don't want to buy a crappy shirt. Get that out of here. Okay, so it's like I look at the roster and I look at the women on here. It's like Alexa again, like I said, has Queen of the Ring. She made it to the next round. B-Fab, I already mentioned. Bianca, Candice, Charlotte, Chelsea wasn't here this week, but again, could have waited till next week to do something. Julia and Zelina, they're busy. Jade, Queen of the Ring. Michin got decimated. Why did she even go after? Put her with BFAB. Naomi, Nia Jax. They have Nikki Cross on here, but Wyatt 6 stuff. And that's your women's roster on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, it's very bare bones. And they don't even have Jordan Grace on here, too. So it's just like, what happened with that? What happened with that report? Like, what are we doing with that? Is she just doing NXT shit until this possible draft, whenever that happens? Which I did hear rumors about that after SummerSlam, kind of leading towards their little season premieres in the fall. So
I remember
that might so that might be a thing. But like, I don't know, man. And I mean, people in the chat, like Trish Stratus might be coming next week on the SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I mean, she could be a contender.
We know that she's. I spoke about that yesterday, Vincent, about Jordan Grace. Like, we know she's already factored into something. We were just going off of the reports that we read online, like a couple weeks ago, about her and Stephanie moving to the main roster when it came to Stephanie on Raw, which we clearly see now. And then we see the report of Jordan Grace. So we thought both of them were going to go, because you got Mariah May in the mix. You got all these other girls there. Lainey Reed, that just showed up last week when Mariah May made her debut, because they already have other women lined up there. So we thought they were going to move around at the same time. That's why we brought up Jordan Grace. So we already know that whole entire thing.
Yeah. And I mean, this just goes into a conversation about like just their women's roster in general. Because like when you look at I mean, that's also kind of I feel bad saying bare bones, because like I don't mean it in a way where it's just, oh well, their talent is very bare bones. It's just like, it's not the talent itself, it's the number of, because like we're having Asuka finally retire. Bailey and Becky they're doing their own thing. Io's the champion. She's already busy with whatever. Kyrie's doing God knows whatever anymore. Liv and Raquel holding on to props. That's what they're doing. Lyra's busy with the IC title. Maxine and Natalia. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to be doing with Rhea, Roxanne. Scarlett barely does anything. Zoe's right now. Like, they got to do something to kind of boost their women's division.
Yeah.
Like, either on both shows or I really don't know what they can do.
Yeah.
You know, I like besides just kind of
basically need a shuffle, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and that'll only come with what's it called, draft, whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm done complaining about it. I just don't like the fact that not.
Yeah, just
that. I think that's just. There could have been another option to kind of move time along. You know, it's fine. We'll stay in the black hole of Nia Jax.
Yeah, I definitely gotta listen to what JD says about this later. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun to hear. That'll give me some catharsis and all. But let's talk about our last segment here. I mean, I probably don't have much to say about this one either.
Same here.
what exactly? Like, so with the tag team division, right? So far with the story with like the tag teams is we're involving all the tag teams within WWE or like SmackDown, right? So like 4 teams, Street Profits, DIY, Motor City Machine Gun, and who am I blanking on? Fraxium. Sorry.
Fraxium,
Sorry, everybody. I forgot about Fraxium really quickly. Pretty Deadly, they're doing whatever. So these 4 teams, these top 4 teams, are dealing with the Wyatts going on. And their Wyatts, their whole thing is, hey, you know, you guys are at each other's throats. There's no brotherhood. There's no camaraderie. Like, we should all just be, you know, here as fun rivals and all. Yeah, you know, you don't have to like each other, but you know, just chill out a little bit, everybody. And tag teams don't like this, and especially after they got attacked a couple weeks ago and all that, and I think last week too. Blanking on last week too. So this week there's gonna be a tag match. One of the teams is gonna get their shot at the Wyatts, and we have all this basically in the back with all these tag teams. I like the little bit we're having with what Fraxium should go after them, and if not, well, why don't the tag team champions go? Like them just pointing at other people to deal with the Wyatts besides them. So I kind of like that little bit, but it ends up being Motor City Machine Guns because their whole thing about being veterans spoke to Nick Aldis. So cool, we're using that as, you know, the story reason for all this. And I mean, the match was fine. Like, nothing was really too wrong until like the end, where I don't know if there was like miscommunication or like the way they were trying to portray like Uncle Howdy being like, hey, you know, do a little bit more damage before you finish the match. Do a little bit more. It'll be like, send a message before ending this. But that part was just kind of weird. But yeah, the Wyatts win clean against Motor City Machine Guns. Again, like, the match was fine. You know, it didn't really move me much at all. I'm just like, okay, well, good match, guys. Awesome. What's going to happen next week? Is it going to be Fraxium's turn? DIY's turn? I doubt it's going to be Street Profits' turn.
Yeah.
Again, they're the champions. They shouldn't lose. So I guess this is more of just building up the Wyatts towards the Street Profits. Did this do anything for you?
No, I have the same mindset that
that
I've had for the past couple of weeks when it comes to the Wyatt 6. Like, it's just so hard for me to get invested in them, especially when it comes to what's going on right now. Because I felt like what was going on with the tag division, especially when we had that match with the Street Profits and Fraxium, I thought things were going really well. The way that things were like the way that things were being laid out right there. And I remember me and you talking about how we were so invested in that match and we really wanted an outcome. But then all of a sudden, you know, they came back. Not saying that they don't deserve to be back, because I'm not in charge of what they do for a living. But it's like, they're just the kind of people that I never really pictured to be involved into something like this, because they had this whole thing before where they always targeted people that did wrong. That's why they had a whole thing with
Yeah.
Gable, because of how he treated the Alpha Academy. So I thought it was going to be one of those things where they venture out on SmackDown and they come across somebody else that did exactly that, because I found that pretty intriguing, because it's almost like getting a taste of your own medicine. You treated these
Yep.
people like shit. We're going to show you exactly why you're in the position that they're in. And then you look at what happened when Gable got laid out and they made their entrance, when he quote unquote died. You pretty much set like the whole standard when it comes to how people viewed the Wyatt. So it's like, having them involved in the tag division, is it cool? Sure. But at the same time, it's like, what are we doing here? We're just gonna run through teams, gain momentum, get the tag gold. What's next after that? I just feel like a group like this, especially when it comes to the Fiend character, they don't really need gold around their waist.
They don't, because that just means they have to drop it eventually.
Yeah,
You know, and
we know how
and I'm
that
glad.
turned
I'm
out.
glad. Looking at you, Fiend, with that Universal title. And I'm glad, Vincent, you made this comment here about like making them one roster as a whole.
Yeah, I
This
agree.
was my. This was yeah. See, this was my problem with them splitting the tag titles to begin with, it and kind of ties into the whole like women's mid card titles as well, because like you have a good roster, like of good talent and all that. And people should be rewarded for what the work that they put in and all that. But when you kind of have like a split roster like this, you kind of start seeing just how, again, bare bones some of your roster is, because like they have what, 6 teams right now on SmackDown, and we're not having Pretty Deadly on there at all. The other 4 are intertwined with each other, and then you have the Wyatts. So it's like we've been doing so much with them for the past few months that it's just like, okay, well, when are we going to move to something different? Well, what is something different? There's not much different, because everybody's kind of been with each other. Like the only addition that they've had was just throwing Fraxium into the mix. You know, like that's just it. So if you had like one title, you could have like a story that based around the title, and then you could do other stories that didn't involve a title picture at all, and you could build off of that. You can create more contenders that way. You can make
Yeah.
more investments and stories that way beyond just getting a title. It could be the thing about like, oh, well, we want the number one contendership, or oh, we just don't like you and all that. And you can do stories like with the Wyatt Six, where they could probably focus, because I feel like a lot of their focus should be more on DIY than the other 3 teams, because
Yeah.
DIY is the one that's like the and I think that's why DIY keeps trying to point the fingers at other people to take care of it, because I think they know that they are they're kind of the main target, even
Yeah.
though the Wyatts are going after everybody,
Yeah.
you know. But it's like, what it kind of reminds me of that phrase that Buddy, or Syndrome, if you will, said in The Incredibles, where if everybody's super, nobody is. If everybody's special, nobody is. If there's so many titles, then what really should we be fighting?
Yeah,
Because like,
exactly.
it's the same problem AEW has. So it's like, oh, we have all these titles that we just keep putting onto our shows and onto our shows and all this. It's like
Yeah.
you kind of get bogged down with so many titles. It's like, okay, yeah, part of it should be you want that glory, you want that gold, you want that legacy and all that, but like there's other steps to that as well. There's more than just the titles and all that. There's also the glory. There's also like finding out just like who who can really push you more and all that, like getting better through each other and all that, or just like, hey, I don't like you, I'm gonna hit you with a chair, I'm gonna put you through a table, I just hate your stinking guts. Like it can just be more than that, and like you kind of just get bogged down when you have so many flipping titles, and the focus just kind of like goes away after a bit, you know? Like, you can have floating titles. It can work. It really can. And like I I'm fine with the two world title thing because like I can at least separate that between like, okay, there's the corporate title and there's like the workman's title, if you
Yep.
will, you know, and I can kind of separate like the whole mid card titles too, where it's like, okay, well, the IC title, that's like your almost like your number one contender title kind of thing, where it's like the workhorse title, whatever you want to call it, and like you have the US title, which is kind of like your TV championship in a way. Um, but I don't know, that just gets into a whole other idea and concept that I just don't have the time or
Yeah.
patience to like sit here and
Oh yeah.
try to
No,
word and all that. But
I agree completely. Like, there's just so many different routes that they can go down to just simplify it and make it better, but they just don't want to go down that because
yeah,
they like going down the safe route. They like
yeah,
going down. They basically, instead of going on the highways to get to destinations, they want to take a whole bunch of back roads.
yeah.
Basically, what it is.
And like sometimes back roads are fine. It's just,
Yeah.
do we have to go through the back roads?
Yeah.
Or do we have to stay on the highway? Like, yeah, I don't know. Do we have to use Google Maps or can't we use Waze? Like, it's really like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, this really didn't do much for either of us. It sounds like so.
Oh,
Just looking forward to seeing where the end goal is. I think part of it is DIY just because of their actions through all this. Um, I mean, that being said, I mean, we've kind of gotten to the end of our show. You know, I mean, again, I'll say it like I said at the beginning. I thought this was a pretty good SmackDown overall. I mean, yeah, a lot of the stuff from the mid card stories that we talked about were kind of, some problems here and there, but still some good stuff, especially with like the Naomi stuff, the Jacob Fatu stuff's definitely going to be heating up next week. But yeah, just the King and the Queen of the Ring stuff. I mean, it's some compelling things, especially with like John and Punk involved too, with what they're going to be going through. I mean, we've got a good road ahead of us going towards the Night of Champions, and for once, I'm kind of excited for a Saudi show, uh, for what we're about to be getting from it. But yeah, again, I thought this was a very strong SmackDown. But what did you think about
so when it comes to SmackDown itself, I thought it was a pretty good show, especially when it came to the
it? Mhm.
qualifying matches, because I was really intrigued to see who was going to move up when it comes to the semifinals. And within the show itself, we got Jade Cargill, we got Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss was the unpredictability there. We had Randy Orton, and we also had Cody Rhodes, which was predictable, but at the same time, predictable isn't bad because, like me and Watkins
Yeah,
says, if that's the final match, not going to complain. It's on a PLE, no commercials disrupting it. So
mhm,
I am fully on board with that. And also getting more into the whole story with Jacob Fatu and Solo, even though there was a little bit here, I am intrigued. I think Solo's doing his best work right now when it comes to really
oh, yeah,
showing more of his personality outside of who he was before. Naomi pretty much just laying out what her mission statement is. I do like that. Makes a lot of sense, especially diving into the past and explaining why she's targeting Tiffany, which felt like was kind of obvious to begin with. Not saying that's bad, but it makes a lot of sense. She took her moment, she's gonna take yours. So it's pretty much Tiffany gonna get bit in the ass again. And
yeah,
yeah, I mean, the next talking point really is what comes out of Monday Night Raw. Who's
yeah.
going to win that match between Stephanie Vaquer, Asuka, Ivy Nile, and shit, Natal. I don't know who else
Raquel,
is
Raquel's
Natal.
in there.
Raquel.
Yeah,
So it's like you got a little unpredictability in there. For me, I would probably we'll definitely talk to that, but you got some unpredictability there. So
yeah,
yeah, just thought it was a pretty good show. And
yeah.
also,
And
I forgot the John Cena and CM Punk stuff was great.
oh yeah, I mean that just goes without saying. I mean, you put those two in the ring, give them both a mic, and you
Yeah,
get magic. You know,
yeah,
like yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed SmackDown. If you're not, let us know in the chat or the comments. And if you did like, let us know in the chat and comments as well. We'd probably, we would love to hear from you guys and start up a conversation, all that. We had a lot to talk about tonight, kind of diving in deep with, a few things that, we've kind of said in past episodes, but it kind of bears repeating as well with certain aspects of the product and all that. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I think we're heading towards a really good Saudi show and all that. So we'll be here to talk about it all, dissect it all, and all that. And hopefully, you guys will join us for those events when we get to those. But the only way to do that is to be sure to like this stream. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else that we have to say or do, and especially hitting that notification icon so that way you get notified every time we go live, because we mainly do live streams. Sometimes we'll have our like predictions videos going up. We'll probably have some other content later on in the year beyond all this, and of course grappling with the week every Thursday. Check that out whenever we go live for that. But I'm just going to take the time now to thank you for taking time out of your day for listening to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Again, if you enjoyed what we had to say, we have a bunch of our social medias there in the yellow. Be sure to follow us on any social media, whether Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure, yeah, yeah. Most of our handles are the same on those, so be sure to follow us. If not, Twitter usually has all that too, so you can check us out there, see what we have to say and what we have to do and all that. So yeah, would love to hear from you guys, and especially love to hear you guys through using the hashtag Weebs of the Ring, because that helps us kind of see where the conversation is going, make sure everybody's doing good and all that. And it's also a great way to give us feedback because hey, we're nothing without you guys tuning in every single time we go live. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Animal We Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of their hard work. Thank you once again for joining us. And remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, rest easy, have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday night for the conclusion of round 1 of the King Queen of the Ring tournament and the end of SmackDown. And this is the end of our show. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good weekend.